Now for our story. When Aunt Mary's son decided to open a real estate office in Wakefield, his cousin Peggy had volunteered to work for him. The young woman had been happily married for several months now. She and Bill had settled down in Lefty Larkin's little cottage, which stood by the road in front of the Lane farmhouse. But Peggy complained she hadn't enough to do. She whisked through her housework in no time, and then there was a whole day before. She wanted to be useful and busy. Helping Randy out would be an ideal solution. And the scheme had worked very well. Randy was pleased with his pretty cousin's efficiency, and Peggy was equally proud of the way he'd taken hold. Well, this afternoon, Bill's young wife is alone in the office when her aunt's old friend and helper appears in the open doorway. Lefty Larkin grins as...
Whoa there, whoa.
Hello, Lefty. I didn't hear you come up.
No wonder the way you were going lickety-pelt.
Come on in.
Sure I won't be holding up the wheels of progress.
Not a bit.
Okay, then.
Take Randy's swivel chair.
Say, this is the life. Leather cushion and everything.
It's Randy's pride and joy. David Bowman gave it to him, you know.
David.
Now, Lefty, you're not mad at David for winning a prize at the flower show, are you?
Why? After all, I won the grand prize for the most novel entry. It was just his luck I didn't enter delphiniums. He didn't have any competition worth mentioning.
Poor David. He's always getting into your hair somehow.
He's so smug about his garden. You'd think he was the world's leading authority.
Now, Lefty.
You know what his latest stunt is?
No, but whatever it is, I'm sure it can't be nearly as bad as you'll make it out. And you know you don't mean a word of it. David thinks the world of you and you of him. Admit it.
Well, after all, David can't help it if I'm a better gardener than he is. And just the same, I was downright provoked at first when I found out what he did about my cactus garden.
You mean your entry at the show?
Mm-hmm. I went over there just now to pick it up and bring it here for the office.
I know you promised it to us. Where is it?
I'm afraid you can't have it. The deal's off.
But, Lefty, that's not fair. I was counting on it. This place needs something smart like that to dress it up.
It's not my fault.
What do you mean?
Well, it seems it's the custom to hold an auction for the shrubs and plants each year for some charity or a project. This year it's the hospital. It slipped my mind because I've always entered cut flowers before. I held the shindig last night, final evening of the show.
Uh-oh. And, of course, the entry that won the grand prize was sold.
Well, of course.
And, of course, it wouldn't be David who bought it.
He certainly did. But there's one big consolation. It seems the bidding was very lively for my entry. So my cactus brought in more money for the hospital benefit than anyone else's stuff did. And David really had to pay through the nose to get it.
I'd consider that a great compliment if I were you.
Of course, I know it was on Bowman's mind. He wanted to take it home or he could study the whole thing in private. Then next year he'll crop up with the same kind of an idea.
Lefty, if I didn't happen to know you're the most soft-hearted man in the world, I'd think you were a real old meanie instead of the gentle character you are.
Don't you go spreading any such story around.
I won't, Lefty. It'll be our secret. As if everyone didn't know already.
Oh, I think there'd be quite a few people who'd be downright amazed at the news. Not to mention dozens who'd be willing to argue the point.
Anybody home? Lily, hello there. Gee, this is my lucky day. Hi, Lefty.
Greetings. Here, Lily, take this chair.
Oh, thanks. I'll just perch here on my desk. Well, I must say this office has a nice, relaxed atmosphere.
When do you get your work done, Peggy?
Never you mind, Miss Devine. I've been a very busy cup of tea all morning. This is my siesta period.
Well, I'm happy to know I'm not interrupting some big business enterprise.
You should have heard Peggy going at the typewriter when I arrived. She was breaking all speed limits.
It just sounded that way, Lefty. Randy out on business this afternoon? Mm-hmm. At least, so he said. But I wouldn't be surprised if he stopped in at the farm. I've been teasing him about it. I think there's quite a conflict going on.
A conflict?
I mean, between the businessman side of him and the farmer side.
Oh, I believe you're right, honey. Randy's a farmer at heart. But on the other hand, he had the right idea about going into business, considering what he wants to accomplish.
What he wants to accomplish? Well, how do you mean, Lefty?
Well, it's only natural Randy wants to get a hold of some capital. Then he can buy his own place, branch out for himself. You know, get married, raise a family.
Yeah, I know. Gosh, Lefty, you make it sound like this was all going to happen any minute. Like he had the girl all picked out and, well, and all the rest of it.
Oh, no, but Randy's got the general idea in his mind. You know what I think?
What, Lefty?
You girls certainly make an attentive audience.
We're always interested in getting a man's point of view, aren't we, Lily?
Sure. Never can tell. They might be on the track to something.
I think maybe I am.
Oh? What's your idea, Lefty? Give.
Well, I was just going to say that Randy has the idea in general, so far as settling down goes. But to go from the general to the specific, well, he may need a little guidance.
Guidance? Oh, not sure I get you.
I know what Lefty means. Randy's like a lot of young men. He doesn't know exactly what he wants. So, maybe someone, a girl maybe, has to kind of bring it to his attention. Isn't that it, Lefty?
That's more or less the idea.
Lefty, you're a very smart man.
I think so, honey. Well, I guess I better take off on my stocks good and high.
Oh, please don't go on my account, Lefty.
No, I'm not. I've got a few chores to do. I'll be seeing you, Lily.
Yeah, Lefty. So long.
See you tonight, honey.
Goodbye. Tell Aunt Mary we'll accept her dinner invitation if it's still open.
Yeah, I'll tell her.
You know something, Lily? Huh? Lefty's right.
Think so?
I'm sure of it. And after all, he's a man. He understands Randy better than either of us do, probably.
Well, after the other day when Randy and I drove back from Three Falls...
I've been terribly anxious to hear about that. Why do you look like that? Lily, did something go wrong?
No, as a matter of fact, Randy talked to me more frankly than he has in ages.
Did he say anything about Kit?
Well, the whole conversation was about Kit.
Really? The entire conversation? Oh, that boob. What did he say, Lily?
Oh, he was awfully pleased at the progress she's made. Said she was like a different person.
I've heard him sing that song before.
He said she's more secure, seemed less dependent. Well, that seemed to be the main feeling he had. Relief that she was back on her feet.
Relief?
Of course, I might be kidding myself, but honestly, Peggy, he did sound like it was a big load off his mind.
So that's it. For a moment there, you had me worried. Then I am right. That's just what I told you, isn't it? Randy's been concerned about Kit Calvert the way anyone would be who had a sense of responsibility toward another person who depended on him. That's perfectly natural. It doesn't mean you love a person just because you want to help him.
No.
Oh, Lily, I'm so encouraged. So long as Randy isn't in love with Kit, and the more he sees of you, gets to know you.
Wait a minute. We don't know for sure. I may be wrong. Now, remember, Sugar, Randy's known me long enough to make up his mind what he thinks of me. Well, it isn't as if we just met.
But he doesn't know you the way you really are. You've always been so defensive and full of wisecracks when you were around him. You aren't going to be that way anymore, are you, Lily? You're going to be more gentle and sweet, more yourself.
Am I? Gentle and sweet. Peggy, you're a darling, but I can't help laughing. The way you've been giving me these pep talks.
I don't mind. And, Lily, it's not entirely unselfishness. I'd like to have you in the family. And I'm thinking of Randy's welfare, too. It just seems so right to me. And now that I'm sure of how you feel, well, I just have a hunch it'll happen.
I can't say that I've reached that stage of optimism. But from the way Randy talked the other day, well, I think you may be right about his attitude toward Kit. I don't think he could have talked as if his attachment were, of a romantic nature.
No.
Looks as if I started to dream again, doesn't it? Dreams have a bad habit of coming to an end.
But your dream's going to come true. Look, haven't I been right so far?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you have been.
Peggy was very much elated. Bill Meade had warned his young wife that she might bring Lily Devon more unhappiness by raising her hopes. But Peggy was sure now that her husband was wrong. And yet, Peggy, perhaps it would be wiser not to be overly confident. Your theory concerning Randy's feelings for Kit Calvert may be wrong. You and Lily both may have completely misinterpreted his remarks concerning Ben Calvert's daughter.